All right, so we're gonna get started again. So another question that I have for you is, since this is for an ethnic studies class, and for me, I have the privilege of finding out more about my culture and other people's cultures alongside the culture of the U.S. as a whole. Which is the U.S. is just a whole melting pot. More than
Hmm.
it's where a bunch
Well, the
of
United States was built on immigration.
yeah, it's built on immigration, and at the end of the day, whether there was bad things, there's also good things, and
Right.
it's still a beautiful country at the end of the day.
Sure is.
That just like any other thing, built by humans, it needs its things to be worked on, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's still, it's a beautiful place to live in.
Yeah.
Where we still enjoy a lot of freedom, nowadays. So going off of that, uh, when you were younger, would you say that you had all this information about your culture and other cultures when you were in school?
I knew about our people,
Yeah,
because I learned everything from my grandparents, my
yeah,
grandfather, and I could see the struggles that they went through and stuff, back in, the 30s and 20s and stuff like that. The struggle that my great grandfather went through to immigrate over here, to migrate out here and raise his children, which were my grandparents and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen different nationalities come here, you know, back in the 60s, seeing, when the different ethnic backgrounds started showing up from other countries and stuff
yeah,
like that. The mid 60s to the 70s and stuff like that. Different people from different countries started showing up here, and stuff like that. And you didn't know who they were or what they were, until you started talking to them and finding out a little bit about themselves. So, as far as the diversity, I mean, like we say, the United States was built on immigration. This country was built with the blood and sweat of people from all ethnicities, and it is what it is. It's one big smelting pot. So, hopefully people learn to start getting along, you know, without one thinking they're mightier than the other. Until that time comes, there's still going to be up and downs, But I think overall, people kind of like nowadays, you see people staying more to themselves. You don't see the association in neighborhoods, where people get together and stuff like that. I think a lot of people are fearful of going out in the world today,
yeah.
with crime and everything the way it is. And, you know, it's like everything's like, I don't know. There's a lot of bad out there, but there's a lot of good too. It just depends on how you want to live your life and the choices you make.
Yeah, but going off of what you just said, you said that most of the things that you learned about your own culture was through your family members.
Yeah.
But what about school? When you went to school, did were you ever taught anything about your own culture or like any other cultures?
Um, Growing up in school, not well. I think it wasn't until I was in the seventh grade. We had a teacher that came to our school, and he started a program for Chicano studies
Hmm.
and stuff like that. I can't even remember his name. Was it Mr. Aragon or something like that? But he brought the awareness of the Chicano movement. We did a lot of marches and protest in behalf of the farm workers and stuff like that. We used to do we I became a member of the Brown Berets when I was like 14 years old. We were out of a chapter. First, we were out of Long Beach, but then they opened up a chapter in Wilmington and stuff like that. It just, a lot of protests. We did a lot of things like at UCLA. People like Vicky Carr and Rene Enriquez. There was a lot of celebrities who took and changed their names to Caucasian names so their careers can skyrocket, like Raquel Welch, a lot of people, there's a lot of celebrities out there. A lot of people don't know that they're of, Chicano heritage, they were from Mexican cultures and stuff like that, but like then there was a time where, you had to do that. If you wanted to achieve, or reach your goals, you had to change your name. Get rid of your original name and come up with something different. But I don't know. Culturally, I think everybody's does what they have to do. You know.
So going on to the next question is how has the relationship with other ethnic communities evolved?
How's the relationship with what?
Other ethnic communities evolved? Like Hispanics with Asians, Asians with whites. All those, all different ethnicities.
I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, a lot of ethnicities they stick to their own. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of cultures they well, I can't say because I've seen a lot of cross cross mixing of different cultures. You know, there was a time where you would never see a Caucasian with an African American, or you see a lot of Americans with Asians. There was a lot of there's been a lot of changes over the years. As far as mixed races,
Yeah.
and in a way that's good because I mean, it gives their offspring opportunities to see the world in a different way. You
Yeah.
know, I know there may be a possibility that there's barriers there. Because I'm sure they face being a mixed race child, they face discriminations. You know, because some people just got their head so far up. That you know it's just I don't know. I have a lot of friends that are mixed races and stuff like that growing up in the barrio.
Yeah. So going back to the thing, like I said, this is for an ethnic studies class. Would you say that the fact that they're teaching these things at school and it's become like something that you could learn in school, about other races, ethnicities? Would you say that this will help people unite more?
Of course, enlighten them as to the 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 lifestyles of other people. Their backgrounds. I mean, every race has a struggle. And by learning different ethnic races and stuff like that, yeah, it'll open your mind up a little more. And see that hey, they had the same struggling issues as you know you've had. You know, maybe in just different forms. But yeah, it's good to learn about other races and stuff like that. I mean, the world's there to, it's like a can. You open it up, the worms pop out, and they're all different colors. And it's good to learn about everybody.
Yeah. Um. So besides that, is there any any story or cool fact you want to say about yourself? Um, something that you would like to add on, or something that you would like to talk about. It could be about anything, whether it's about Chicano or like a story about yourself.
I don't know. I've
Uh,
had different chapters in my life.
yeah,
I've had good ones. I've had bad ones. But you just kind of learn to overcome. And don't let anything hold you back. You know, strive for what you want. Try and do the best you can with what you got and stuff like that. I had a pretty crazy life growing up. I had my youth, then I had my teen years, which were kind of ragged. They were kind of like out of control. And then my young adulthood, I made changes. I started having children, and I made changes for myself and then for my family. And, just learn to live, enjoy life one day at a time. You know,
yeah,
you never promise tomorrow, so do what you can today.
yeah. Um, so to is that like the story that you want, where you want to end it, or you want to talk more about anything else? It's up to you.
Yeah, I pretty much,
You're pretty
am
much
content with what I've had to say and stuff like that.
okay.
I just, to me, the one thing that does bother me is because I remember all the protests and marches and everything that I was involved in, to bring light to the struggles of our raza and stuff like that. And it always troubled me to sit back and watch the raza sit on their hands and do nothing to better things for themselves, unlike the African Americans who would do marches and protests. And they've gained a lot, and stuff like that, where the raza just, they settle. I'm okay. Vieja, give me another beer, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. The raza just doesn't stand up for themselves, and to me, I like I said, I remember all them protests and going to all these marches, and you know, it just, it's sad to know that we haven't gotten any further. You know, nothing has changed. I know there's a lot of opportunities out there, but you got to really kick hard at the door to get in, to take advantage of them opportunities. So, outside of that, life has been okay. You know, there's a lot of things I could have did different in my life, and stuff like that. But it is what it is, and you just keep going.
okay. And to end it all out, I would just like to ask this question. Are you proud to be, a Chicano? Are you proud to be an American?
Very much so.
There you
I
go.
got my flag outside. I got my Aztec calendars. I'm proud of who I am, my ethnicity and stuff like that. Like I said, my great grandfather was a Chichimeca, and stuff like that. He was indigenous from Mexico and stuff. So, I wished I would have learned the language that he used to speak. Him and my grandfather would speak. I never knew what they were saying because I didn't recognize that language. And it wasn't until I got older that I started finding out more about where my great grandfather came from and stuff like that, and looking at their culture and everything, and finding out that, we were from the Chichimecas, which was an indigenous tribe out there in Mexico. So, yeah, I'm proud of who I am, you know.
Well, yeah. Well, that'll be like the end of the interview. Thank you for letting me interview, Edward.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Alrighty then.